Let's get in here. Let's start figuring everything out. It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, before we get into your good work, I want to know this. 6 years ago, this pandemic was changing the world. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you do things today?
Hmm. You know what? That was a very interesting time for all of us. We had to pivot. For us in our business as IWS, one of the things that we had to do, of course, like everybody else, we had to let everybody go face and fully online. We were already online with our clients, and we went fully online with our team. And it resulted in me selling my corporate building and moving back home to work. And I didn't do that until like after the pandemic. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wait around. So we just did that because we were already all online. And we launched our Resilience, which is our resilience intelligence platform. So we've just put our energy into that and released that. So that was our pivot.
So, let's get into what you do on a daily basis. And to do that, I want to put you in front of a bunch of 12 or 13-year-olds, and you're at
Hmm.
career day. And one of the kids just wants to know what you do for your day job. How do you make all of it make sense to their brains?
Oh, I what I do is very simple. I help people to resolve conflict. Like when people have disagreement with their bosses, with their coworkers, and they don't know what to do, it causes them a lot of stress, a lot of pain, a lot of sometimes doubt. They don't feel good about themselves. They end up hating their jobs. So I come in, and that's what my job is to help them to renegotiate those relationships and build their own resilience. Because one of the things we know is that those prolonged conflicts and the stress from conflict can have such emotional, social, intellectual impact on people's lives that they end up burning out. They end up struggling with their self-esteem, their mental health. They don't feel psychologically safe at work. So that's where I come in.
So, what did you want to be when you were that age? What was your dream job growing up?
That's a really good question. I think I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't know what it wasn't teaching like primary school, but I didn't know anything about corporate training. But I know I needed, my job was to tell people what to do and help people to do it. So then I became a master certified coach, a conflict analyst, and I just found out what the name is after.
Yes, absolutely. So take me back to your childhood. What were these foundational elements that have allowed you to want to teach and to help people be the peacemaker and to get over conflict, to be a coach? What were the elements that were planted that grew into who you are?
You know, it's interesting. I grew up in Dominica. Dominica is Eastern Caribbean islands in the Caribbean Sea. So we are situated. So if people know St. Lucia, Dominica is the sister island for St. Lucia. And very rugged, very beautiful island. It's called the Nature Island of the Caribbean. Grew up as a child with a lot of freedom. We had our own land, our own house. We would run around and play. Always had that sense of freedom, but also always curious, learning. I remember there was this woman at my church who would teach people how to cook and how to make good recipes and healthy recipes. I was the youngest in the class. Every time she had a new, every time she had a new cooking class, I was the first to register, always the youngest. And then I would take her recipe and I would experiment and make them better. And it's just always been curious. I remember sometimes when, I wanted to do vegetarian or vegan food, I would look to see what vegetable could we eat with our food instead of meat. So I've always been a curious child.
So, who were inspirational forces? Who was kind of a hero for you in your life to navigate to where you are today?
Oh, my grandmother. My grandmother grew up in the 1930s, and she was a powerhouse. Actually, her story is remarkable. When she was 25 years old, so she was a child of so in the island, we have the people who were generation from the slaves, and then we had the white owners who came. So her father was white. He was Irish, and her mother was they call them the Kalinigo people now, but when I grew up, they used to be called the Carib Indians that gave the Carib. And so she was a mixed young woman, beautiful, very intelligent. And my grandfather came back from Cayenne, British Guyana, from digging gold, and he said he wanted to marry the most beautiful young woman in the city, in the town, and picked my grandmother because she grew up with her grandma, and they thought, well, hey, maybe this guy is going to do. But she was kind of figuring out what he was, and he decided he would force her and raped her, and she was so mad. She broke off the engagement. She left him, and I always wonder about her strength. And I was like, in 1945, as a single woman, raising a child on your own without, it was looked down upon. Like people didn't even believe that, that your fiance would force himself on you. And it was, but she had the strength. That woman was strong. She left him, later marry. And so with my mom, she ended up having 11 children, 10 with her husband that she married after. And so she had five boys, five girls. And six girls, five boys, and my mom is the sixth girl. And she ensured that every one of them got educated, and that was her thing. And so because my mom was the eldest, my siblings and I, my older brother, sister, and myself, we grew up as one of 15 children. So my aunt and uncles, like I think my youngest uncle is just a year older than me because because my mom is the oldest. So we grew up very much together. My grandmother was the village seamstress. If you needed to get married, you have a new baby, she would make your clothes. She was also the village midwife. If you are going, your wife is having a baby, she would be the one who would do the midwifery. And then she was the choir master. She played the piano. She was the leader for the choir as well as the pianist. So she was very multi-talented and a go-getter. And so she's definitely my hero.
So what was it like, the culture shock of coming from that level of paradise to Canada? Did you always want to get out? How did that happen?
Well, at the time when I was growing up, for us to go to university, there was no university on the island. So we always know if you want to go into university or college, you had to leave the island. So there were two colleges. There was nursing college and teachers college. And if you didn't want to go to those college, you would have to leave the island. So for me, it was university I wanted to attend. So I came here at 19 for university.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So if you can meet one person alive on the planet right now, whether it's in your field or otherwise, that would be inspirational, that might help you on your journey, who would you love to meet and talk to or have a lunch with?
Oh my goodness. People not alive, I hope.
Well, you could do
Right?
that. You could do ghosts. You could do one. Yeah.
Well, certainly Martin Luther King Jr. was a great role model and someone I think had such strength and character and a man of his time. I admire um, so many people. My goodness. Vincent Norman Peale. I remember reading his book, The Power of Positive Thinking, when I was 20, and it changed my whole perspective on life. I'd love to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
The wisdom that went into that book and at that time in the 1800s. Yeah, absolutely.
So, in your line of work, whether it's coaching or helping people with conflict, there's a lot of heavy stuff that you have to deal with. How do you protect yourself? How do you, what's the energy every day for you to wake up, to do a good job, to change lives, to take care of your soul? What is that for you every day?
It's what I do and it's what I teach. My I ch In 2010, I rebranded my business and I call it Interpersonal Wellness because it really epitomized what I teach. When we have good interactions, when we have good, healthy connections, it helps us to be healthy. It prolongs our life. We have good memory and we have fuller lives. So that was my my message when I when I rebranded my business, and a lot of my clients stopped calling because they're like, "What is this wellness thing you're talking about?" And so that was my piece because I needed to ensure that I am detaching from clients' drama because conflict is one of those situations that perpetuate and people, there's a lot of identity conflict. And so I needed to make sure that I was detaching from that and I could bring myself and be a conduit and a healthy third party for my clients. That got me into becoming a coach and pursuing all the way to a master certification. The goal there was to remind people that when we are in conflict, it will affect all the areas of our lives. And so that led me into creating the nine-dimensional well-being model, where it shows us we need to be well spiritually, socially, emotionally, occupationally, intellectually, environmentally, financially, physically, and interpersonally. And so at the core of it, it's building resilience in all of these dimensions of our lives, because my research shows that when people are doing well in those areas of their lives, they tend to have less conflict and they tend to be able to wake up on the positive side, and they tend to be able to have more discipline in their lives and be able to deal with the challenges of life. There's no one on the planet who doesn't have challenges. That's that's almost the qualification to live a full life. So you're going to have challenges.
Yeah.
It's how you get over the challenges. And so that has really uh, made me a student of the whole currency of resilience, reminding us that resilience is not just a trade, it is something we need. We all have to have it. It's a currency for life. However, most of us take it for granted that we're going to have the resilience to be able to get up and be positive and to be happy and to we don't realize that that takes energy to focus, and that comes from resilience. So the ability to renew your energy, reset emotionally, interpersonally, physically, and all these dimensions. And so that has embodied my work, and it became my practice, and now I teach it to organizations and people everywhere.
So let me ask you this. If you were to have a dream tonight and you ran into that young version of you getting ready to leave your homeland to come to Canada to go to school, and you walk into a room and there is a film projector and you click play and it's a 60-second highlight reel of the life you've lived, the choices you've made, would that young version of you believe that your life turned out this way?
Surprise. I think the young version of me would be surprised and damn happy and says, "Hey, we did it."
Yes. Would you have any advice?
Oh, I would say continue on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
So, if you were to walk into a room of everybody that knows you as a professional and the capacity of coaching and helping resolve conflict, and you could go up to the center of that room and tell everyone a fun story about your life, maybe like just some maybe a hobby you have, maybe a magical place you travel to, something about growing up, some kind of fun story that would humanize you a little bit to that room. What would be a fun story you would tell that room?
Oh, I love gardening. I just, I growing up in the Caribbean, we always we had a lot of land. So my mom was the only child for that grandfather. So brought all the money from Cayenne, from digging gold, and he bought lots of land. So my mom was the only child. And so we inherited land. And so we always planted our own food. We always planted our own vegetables. And my husband can't understand why as soon as the snow melts, I want to be out there in the garden.
Yeah, yeah,
But that came from that history, and it's funny when I visit my aunts. Actually, most of my family are in the U.S. So when I visit my aunts in Florida, they all have garden,
yeah,
and they're bringing up the last time I went, my uncle had a breadfruit tree, and I'm like, what on earth did you think you moved
yeah.
planet? So we love to grow things. We love to experiment, and I think that nature of mine is to be curious. My daughter said to me, she's like, "Mom, um, you never use a recipe when you cook or bake. What is this?" because I don't. I just cook.
Yeah.
So she teases me, and but I made sure my kids both learn to cook, both my son and my daughter, great cooks. Yeah, I'm a mother. I love my children. Um, I try to terrorize them, but they're old enough to not pay any attention anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
adult kids. We're so fortunate. We have amazing adult children, and I have a really friend of a husband, partner, and yeah, I I bring me where I'm very authentic.
Yeah.
When you see me, and this is it, nothing to hide.
I love it. So, of everything that you've done, accomplished, and evolved to in your life, what are you the proudest of?
I am proud of my family, being able to keep my family together. Husband that worked in law enforcement for 27 years. It wasn't easy. So keeping our family together. I've written and published 7 books. I've done lots of work, and I now teach and certify other professionals to do the work that I do. I think those are things that I'm very proud of, and I'm a legacy building person, always looking at what am I contributing, what am I going to leave behind, and how can I make it more positive.
So, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you in different bubbles: family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
That's a really good question because I'm a very simple person, but I have a lot, bring a lot of energy. I'm very strong. I have a strong focus, goal-oriented, determined, and persuasive. So I think many people would say the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So,
very
if
authentic.
yeah, for sure. So, if anybody wants to reach out, they have questions, they want to hire you, any of the good business, where's the best place for them to go?
Oh, they could find me at interpersonalwellness.com
Okay.
where we hang out. That's our business. I've run interpersonal wellness services for 29 years this year. And we work with government organizations, agencies, from federal, provincial, municipal government. We provide services to help maintain psychological safety and well-being in their workplaces so they can be more resilient.
I love it.
So yeah, you can find me there.
I love it. So I will put these links in the show notes. Joyce, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Neil, for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.